Hey, what's going on? Welcome to VT Sports. I'm Danny Cannell alongside my guy Chris Mano. We got another fun show lined up for you. I was out for a week, so we got to touch on something that happened a couple weeks ago involving around flag football. Want to get Mano's take. He's an expert on that. Team USA took the NFL players to a woodshed. We'll want to hit on that. Biggest story of the day in the last 24, 48 hours has been Jaden Ivey, the controversy in the NBA as he's been let go by the Chicago Bulls for some comments that were anti-gay. We'll get into that. It's crossed over into the NFL as well. We'll talk about the ramifications and what all that means. The ABS, automatic balls and strike system, the MLB has used. It's been in full force for about a week now. We'll get some thoughts on that. Mano was all in on ABS. I was all out. We'll get our updated thoughts as we've seen a little bit into that. We've got some other stories as well. Dan Hurley, head coach for the UConn Huskies, looking for his third national championship, but he headbutts a ref celebrating after that incredible game-winning shot against Duke. We'll talk about that as well. A ton of stuff we got to get to, but let me check in with my guy, Chris Mano. First, see how we're doing. How we doing?
Doing great, man. It was missed you for a week. It was almost like poetic, though. We weren't able to do it anyway. We were down at SLS in Miami for the week. Incredible event. BDC always delivers, and they did it again. It was awesome. And now we got a ton, 2 weeks worth of stuff to catch up on. So
no doubt. And you got to sit down with Dan Villari. That was really cool.
Sit down with Dan Villari. Did a little something with the great Stephen A.
Yeah,
which we
saw
make it
that.
on the network at some point.
I love
Check out
that.
the Dan Villari thing, though. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely. That was
cool.
awesome. Impressive young man making his run for the NFL. Really cool to see what happens with him. Busy day for me. I was showing you before we came on air, I got my daughter a little surprise today. And she's my wife. Are you into April Fools? How do you feel about April Fools? Today is April Fools, by the way.
Well, I spend a lot of my life on social media kind of prepping for this, so I'm over it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not with it anymore.
It is dumb on social media. I can't stand the social media pranks.
Yeah.
Doesn't take too long. Sometimes it's very easy to see. There was the BYU Sports Radio Network. They did like a whole segment that they put on social media because AJ DeBonza is projected to be a top number 1, number 2 overall pick. And they did a whole segment. And they were really bad actors because they tried to make it like, oh, we have breaking news. AJ's coming back. He's coming back to BYU. And they did a full segment on it, and it was just a little bit of weak sauce. Like sometimes it's just a little bit too much.
Well, let me not pretend like I wasn't 5 seconds before this show started going back and forth with you like, this might be true.
Right.
AJ Brown may have been traded. So
right.
Some of them get me, but I got my ears up by 3 o'clock or whatever. So, like, it's hard. Now, if something real does happen, though, they're going to get me today.
Antennas are up. My wife is super into April Fools, and I kind of hate it. Last year, I have a cold plunge that I go in every morning at like 5:30 in the morning. And last year, she put like iguana, like a fake iguana, in the cold plunge, like right when I opened it. And I thought it was like frozen in the bottom. I thought it was real, and I was freaking out. It was plastic. It was fake. And I kind of got me because it's early. I'm kind of half awake and I open it up and there's an iguana in the thing. I'm like,
is it like dark in the room or bright in the room?
It's dark. It's outside. So like, and it's feasible that it could crawl maybe through a crack and get in there and then freeze just be frozen. You know how they freeze in the cold?
Yeah, they fall
out
of
the trees. I was
trees.
freaking out and she thought it was hilarious.
I'm thinking like dark. If I can get you, I'm probably going food coloring in that thing.
Yeah.
Let you come out all stained red.
Yes, that would be good. That would be good. This morning she had snakes, like fake snakes putting right out the door.
She likes reptile pranks then.
Yeah,
reptile
that's just
pranks.
hilarious. I'm going to get her back one of these days really bad.
Do you ever do anything?
No, because I don't have time to think about this stuff and plan it and prep it.
But see, so you're in prime position to get her, though. Like, you wake up on April 1st expecting, all right, my wife's got 2 or 3 things planned. Maybe I'll play along. She's got no idea.
But you know what happens?
You could probably come out of nowhere with it.
But you know what happens with pranks?
It's okay if she does it?
Well, that too. It's always okay if she does it. But then somebody goes too far. I'm going to go too far. And I'm going to get her, like, really good, and then she'll be upset, and then it just, like, ends up not being a good situation.
Fair point.
But today I actually gifted my daughter a brand new car. And I am one who is not, like, when my girls turn 16, they don't get a new car. Like, a lot of spoiled kids get that. But ever since my daughters, and I was told the same thing from my dad, ever since I can remember. My dad told my sisters this. He said, if you get a full ride scholarship, I'll get you a car when you go to college. So my daughter got a full ride to Elon. Beautiful. I've been telling my daughters this since they were about 8, 9 years old. My daughter's been kind of asking. She's like, Dad, am I getting my end of the deal? And I've been putting it off, and she's kind of been asking. So today I gave her new car. It was pretty cool. It's pretty special to be able to do that, to reward some of the stuff that she's been able to do. She's put in a lot of hard work for it.
Definitely.
And the new car that I got her, a Ford Bronco.
Thing is mean. I saw it. Looks great.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's way cheaper than 4 years at a private university where she's going.
There you have it.
So I am coming out way on the top end of this one financially. If she ever figures that out, we'll see. I don't think she'll ever come back and be like, where's the other portion that I got from this for free? But pretty cool and pretty special to be able to reward her with some hot, something that rewarded all her hard work and effort that she's put out there. So pretty blessed to have a daughter that's put in that work and excited to see the reward of that on her face.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. All right, let's get right to it. The Jaden Ivey drama as we see it unfold. Now, Jaden Ivey has been a player that has had a lot going on. In his life personally, he's talked about growing up being sexually abused as a child. He's talked about not feeling loved as a child. And then he has this conversion story where he comes to Jesus and his whole life has been changed. And he has been very, very outspoken in his faith. And then he was driving around the other day, and he was in his car, and he was talking about Pride Month. And he put out some pretty bold statements about Pride Month and the NBA celebrating something which he described as unrighteous. It was a pretty good rant, anti-gay rant, anti-Pride Month rant. As a result of his rant, the Chicago Bulls decided to part ways with Jaden Ivey. They used the conduct detrimental to the team loophole. Now, he will still get paid. Did you see that? He's still going to get $10 million that he's owed this season that's left on his contract.
What I saw that I thought was interesting, I will let you continue and set the stage, but I thought it said conduct for the first time detrimental to the league. And I may have seen that wrong, but I thought I noticed it on one of the two things that I saw, or one of the three things that I saw. And if I'm wrong, then forgive me for that. But that was the first time I thought I saw it worded like that. And if I'm wrong about that,
I'll find this because that's very interesting that it does say that. So that let's see if I can find the release from. It might because that would kind of track. No, this one here says Shams Charania said citing conduct detrimental to the team.
Okay. Shams is the guy. So.
Yeah. So that's what I see. I don't know if you can find a further one that kind of emphasizes more. They might have said both. That might have been because the NBA has always been very pro Pride Month, pro LGBTQ plus. Right. Like they have always been that way. Jaden Ivey's statement, which he targeted the NBA's Pride Month initiatives. He said the world proclaims LGBTQ, right? They proclaim Pride Month, and the NBA does too. They say, come join us for Pride Month to celebrate unrighteousness. That was the final straw. So there's a lot of people who have chimed in. A lot of athletes have chimed in. Travion Henderson, running back for the Patriots, chimed in a Bible verse in support of Jaden Ivey. A couple other, Azariah Thomas, corner out there, supported him with a Bible verse. There has been a significant portion of, I would say, Christian right fans of NBA or just sports fans in general have said this is really egregious violation of freedom of speech.
His jersey's actually sold out after his release, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
So that does show you like there is a significant portion of the country that does agree with Jaden Ivey. So I hate this story. I hate this for Jaden Ivey. I don't think anybody wins in this one because after doing some research and looking at some of the other things that Jaden Ivey has done and said, I believe the Bulls, because the Bulls did say this wasn't just this statement. This is a culmination of events. So he had been, he's been very outspoken and aggressively outspoken in his faith and his walk with Jesus. So much so that when reporters ask him questions, asking about basketball, he'll ask them, do you know if you're going to heaven or hell? And if you don't know Jesus, you're going to hell. Like in a press conference. He's told them, hey, this is reported. He's asked members of the media, are you fornicating outside of marriage? And if you are, you're going to hell. He's had Instagram comments that has attacked Catholicism as a cult and said that they're going to hell. I mean, it's not just one thing. If it was, I think I would be more vocal in my support of Jaden Ivey, but I do think it is much bigger than just this comment. And here's where I think you've got to be really careful as a Christian in sports or any organization. Because I get and I appreciate being bold in your faith. But I also think you have to have some wisdom in your boldness and how you approach it. And I think Jaden Ivey has gone a little bit too far in the aggressive nature of calling out everybody. almost like taking a machine gun and just like, you know, like just going at everybody in his path. Yeah. And he's 24 years old, and he is a relatively new Christian who does have a lot of emotional baggage in his past. And I think we're seeing some of that play out as we're seeing a young player trying to figure out life as a Christian in a fallen world, and he's trying to navigate that. And now he's found himself out of a job. And I think this is really, I think it's more complex than just saying this is a violation of free speech or, you know, how can the NBA do this? Because there's a lot more to it than just this comment. Then you tell me if you think I'm being weak or if I'm, you know, compromising my standards by saying that I understand why the NBA and the Chicago Bulls have made this move.
Well, I would say this, pertaining to Jaden Ivey in particular, and I think in general, though, the rule is, I think it's cool to speak about your faith. I don't know how much I love impressing your faith upon everybody else.
Right.
Like, I'm totally cool to hear your thoughts or Tebow's thoughts or this guy or that guy's thoughts on it. But please, you know, have some respect and have some boundaries and don't impress it on me. Sure, share your ideas, share your newfound love for Christ or whatever it might be on me, and I'm comfortable with it. But let it just end there, right? You don't have to make it something that you do over and over and over and try to sway mine or anybody else's thoughts with it. That's my thoughts on Jaden Ivey as his particular situation. What I would say for the league, though, is, guys, until you guys stop employing women beaters and drug users and people who have gun violence in their past, I find it very hypocritical to let a man who's just found the Lord be out of a job now when people who have done far worse over the last decade or so find themselves still gleefully employed. What I would also say is, as a league, how about we stop celebrating sexuality as a whole?
Right.
It helps nobody. It serves no purpose. You're not virtuous for it. It doesn't do any good for anybody. Right? I think the faster we stop doing that, I thought it always started off as we just wanted to be treated equal, and nobody celebrates heterosexuality, right? Mm-hmm. So my thought process on it is just that. How about we just take sexuality, we put it off to the side, and we move towards basketball and try to, let that be the focal point of what we're doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think, and here's where I think the NBA and a lot of companies get in trouble, because they have certain policies, and let's just say they don't like Jaden Ivey speaking out, against the gay community, and that's their right to do so. Mm-hmm. Let's just say they have a standard. Like, I'd love to know what their policy is, and it's probably something about hate speech or something in there. But I think this was a spiritual view that Jaden Ivey is voicing.
Right.
But that can be perceived by some as hate speech. There does seem to be a double standard in a lot of corporations and in the NBA, where if you don't want players speaking out about certain issues, sexuality being one of them, then isn't it a double standard if you let some of them out there who are very pro-pride and pro-LGBTQ? Like, all right, you can't have it both ways. Like, why can you only have one voice supporting this one because you think it's the right view, when there are a lot of Americans who do agree with Jaden Ivey? Like, then you risk alienating that other portion. And
Absolutely.
I think the NBA has lost a lot of fans. I mean, if you look at their ratings, they're down across the board. There's a downtrend in NBA ratings. Its popularity has been on a downward slide for the past 20 years. And I think a lot of it in the last 10 has been because the NBA has been so vocal about letting their players be, activists and letting them speak their minds on all these different issues. But when I say all these different issues, it's not really all different issues. It's one side of issues.
That's 100% the issue.
And that's the problem. And Sage Steele, this is one of the reasons Sage Steele at ESPN won her lawsuit, because ESPN, I worked there, they had a no politics policy. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't want to hear about your politics. Mm-hmm. And yet, all across the board on social media, you saw a lot of players that were on the left were very vocal. And so Sage Steele makes a couple comments about the vaccine, about her political views, and all of a sudden she's suspended. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wait a second. I thought we were all in this, like, you were letting the left side speak their views. Why are you discriminating me, speaking my views on the right? And guess what? She was right. She won her lawsuit.
Yeah. So
I think that's what the NBA needs to be careful of. Like, it's great, and everybody celebrates them because they're like, way to let your players be activists. But you can't let them be activists just on one side. Like, that's where the double standard comes in. And that's what bothers me with a lot of companies and the NBA specifically.
I think that's 100% been the problem. And I don't even think it's just reserved for the NBA. I think the NFL did it a lot too when we were seeing the BLM stuff and the police brutality stuff. And the NFL, to their credit, sort of made the adjustment, and they've pulled back quite a bit, and it's allowed for the other half to kind of get back into there slowly but surely. Some of them maybe will never come back, but the NBA hasn't seemed to make that adjustment yet. I do remember a time just a couple of years ago where I'd say one of the greatest 3 or 4 players in the history of basketball, and Malik, I sent this to you earlier, decided that this was a proper tweet to send out. Right. If you recall this situation, this cop here was forced to sort of take the life of one person who was trying to stab another. To some of us, it looked like a heroic feat, but at the time, it was a very hot button topic. And the greatest player of his generation, let's just say it, LeBron James tweets, "You're next," puts a police officer's face and picture out there to his millions and millions and millions, and I never heard about it again. I mean, so you can't pick and choose. See, there's a term I like to use. It's called selectively righteous. Like, if you're righteous, you better be righteous all the time. You can't be righteous when it serves your cause or when it makes you money. Or that's not righteous to me. So I think the NBA's got a lot of work to do. I think it always comes back to who I'll say a million times over is the worst commissioner in the history of North American sports. Every decision Adam Silver makes is the wrong decision. I think the faster they get him out of there, the faster they turn the league around. What I would love to see too, because like you said, there is really no standards and practices. Like, I don't know what their policy is. I wonder if a guy like Anthony Edwards, who gets 28 a game and is a massive contributor to the team, I just use Anthony Edwards in general. I'm trying to think of a young, great player who the franchise has built. There it is, beautiful, Wemby. How would the team have handled that as opposed to Jaden Ivey, who gets 8 in a game and is kind of going through it right now?
Right.
You know?
I do think there is selective punishment that takes place. And I think the fact that Jaden Ivey is not a household name, that is not somebody who's the most productive player, makes this much more palatable. Yeah, absolutely, by the Chicago Bulls in the NBA. And I think it would be probably a much bigger issue, and they would handle a lot more delicately if it was a superstar player who was young and playing out there. I will say this, too. I mentioned Sage Steele earlier. I did see a post that she had that was pretty good. She had said, and you mentioned this earlier about we've let in players who are women beaters and have had gun arrests and drug arrests and all these things.
Right.
A lot of times when you see a player get a DUI or anything involved with the law, they're like, well, we're going to get him the help he needs. We're going to send him to rehab. We're going to do this. And they kind of find out a way, and he doesn't get cut. And the Chicago Bulls and a lot of the conversations that coming out are saying that he's a player that is mentally unstable because they're viewing his conversion as mentally unstable. Well, if that's the case, why are you just going to cut him and discard him to be mentally unstable forever? Like, what about getting him the help he needs like you do with all these other players?
Well, then that paints you kind of into a corner, like when you say, what's
just
the help?
Because he's a Christian.
Or, how do you get him the help he needs? He's a Christian.
This is the tweet that I saw.
Sage Steele never misses. She's awesome.
She's the best.
She's fantastic.
She's awesome. And she says if it's true, and this is exactly what we're just talking about, wouldn't it be best for the Chicago Bulls and the league to help him versus cut him? Offer him resources, just like the NBA did for Ben Simmons, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Love, and so many others. Why are the rules different for Jaden? And we know the rule. We know the reason for that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Jaden Ivey, I think, and he's predicted it. He went on a rant, said he's probably going to have trouble getting another job again. I think that might be the last we've ever seen of Jaden Ivey in the NBA. Sadly, because I think he was a 5th overall pick and young talented player, still only 24. But I do think this might be the last we ever see him.
Well, what you brought up, I think, and we've talked about it on this show with other leagues too, where guys are starting to, it's becoming, I don't want to say cool again to talk about your faith and kind of give love to the Lord and give a shout to Christianity or Catholicism, whatever you might believe in. The hope is, I guess, if this does happen and he does seem to get, if it is a mental thing, let him go get the mental help he needs. Let's get him a nice interview and let him kind of repair that image. Maybe by 26. I don't know. I see with all the time, like you said earlier, Travion Henderson came out and spoke, in support of him. Guys didn't feel like they had the ability to do that a couple of years ago. Perhaps that becomes more of a thing. Perhaps more people catch on to this. And I don't know what Jaden Ivey's standing is around the league. Like, I don't know if players love him or teams love him, So I don't know. Yeah, I hope that's not the case. I hope if it is a mental thing, he gets the help he does deserve. I hope if it's just a Christian thing, though, that we find a way around.
I do think he could use some wisdom, though. Somebody that's a powerful voice, that is a longtime Christian that could help him with his messaging.
Yeah.
So that it's not so aggressive, so it's not so in your face. Because we've both been in locker rooms, and there are Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, all of it in one locker room.
Right.
And everybody gets along, and you can have disagreements, but if you aren't willing to have a conversation, and if you're just crushing people and saying you're going to hell and you're going to hell and you're pointing the finger and you're like this, and while I believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and that is the only way to heaven, I'm not going to go out there and say you're going to burn in hell if you don't believe it. Like, there's a way to deliver the message by example and living like a light among darkness. This messaging, I do think, needs some work from Jaden Ivey.
And I don't want to issue a challenge, but somebody who like immediately popped into my head, like somebody who might be a good sort of mentor from, is a guy like a Joe Mazzulla, who Joe Mazzulla has a faith-based background.
Yep.
He says it with a little bit of like, sandpaper to it, where he's not like, I remember the time he played over in England and they played in like LA and they had Prince William and his wife were courtside, or Meghan and Harry were courtside.
Yeah.
And they asked, "Did you see the royal family?" And he said, "Who? Mother, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph." And they were like, "No." Like, he'll say things like that in like a roundabout way. So perhaps somebody like that sees Jaden Ivey calling out for help, and maybe he makes a call. He's in a position to be able to do that. So not a challenge, but maybe if you see a problem, maybe a guy like Joe Mazzulla will come in and mentor him, teach him the right way to navigate this thing, because it's tough out there, man.
Yes, it is. All right, we'll see what happens with that story. We got to get some college hoops. We haven't done a lot of college hoops. The NCAA tournament has been phenomenal. Final Four is set. We got Arizona versus Michigan, Illinois versus UConn, a couple phenomenal matchups. But the game of the tournament so far was the UConn Huskies coming from 19 down against Duke. Duke blows a 19-point lead. UConn closes it. Braylon Mullins hits the shot from about 40 feet, nothing but net.
Yeah.
It'll go down as Christian Laettner, beating Kentucky. It'll go down as one of the top 5 shots of all time.
For Nova.
Yes, Chris Jenkins over UNC. It's an all-timer. It's an all-timer shot, and it will be remembered as such. But this video has been making the rounds. This is Dan Hurley, who has 2 national championships to his belt. He's also a lunatic, and he is known to get after coaches. Get after referees, get in their face. He gets teed up all the time. His celebration is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen from a head coach. Let's see if we can get a look at this and what he does with the referee after the shot. So here's a look. There's the shot.
By the way, if I'm Boozer, I throw that ball to the moon and just let it.
Yep. So he celebrates with his coach. Celebrates. Jacket kind of comes off. And then watch this. Here's the referee walking by him. Right in his grill.
Was he having an issue with the ref during the game or no?
So here's the thing.
Because that totally changes things, I would say, right?
So here's what's crazy. So I respect
the coach?
No, all of it. The coach is crazy. So apparently, Roger Ayers is the name of the referee. Apparently, him and Dan Hurley are buddies.
Oof.
Seth Davis, who covers college basketball, does a phenomenal job. He's one of the biggest voices in the game.
Yeah.
He put out a tweet, and he's like, let's put things into context. Dan Hurley wasn't trying to intimidate the ref. He wasn't trying to argue a call. This is like 2 buddies celebrating one of the best shots in NCAA tournament history. And I looked at it, and I was like, so that's supposed to make it better?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we even doing here?
Absolutely.
And there were a bunch of other officials were chiming in saying this absolutely should have been a technical foul.
Oh.
Like, by the rules, it should have been a technical foul. Now, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm glad the official didn't call a tech because there were 0.4 seconds and put him up by 1. If Duke goes and hits 2 free throws, can you imagine? That would be one of the most controversial plays in the history of the tournament. And that shot was one of the biggest ever. But then all of a sudden it elevates to, oh my gosh, this is one of the biggest, craziest endings we've ever seen. So I'm kind of glad that the official used the awareness in the situation to not do that.
Right.
But at the same time, I do think Dan Hurley should be fined. I think there should be some punishment. The official who has refereed in multiple Final Fours, notoriously not in the Final Four this year. I do think the officials who assigned these, I do think they were like, this is a bad look. This is a bad look for everybody. You're not coaching the Final Four this year.
Well, hearing that these guys are boys, which I'm just learning
Isn't that crazy?
is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And it really does change everything.
Wait, listen to this.
You've thrown a touchdown pass where your offensive lineman headbutt you, and you guys are like, Jack. That's how homies celebrate. Like,
right.
So to me, that.
Watch this sound right here. Watch. This is Dan Hurley. He explains it even more.
Okay.
You got juice, man. If I was hooping, I'd like to come play for you, because any coach is going to run up and headbutt the ref and just get in his face like that. Like, hey, tell me what happened there, coach. Like, what you told him? What you told him when you was up there like that? Like, what's up? What's happening?
Really, at that point in the game, we had it won. And he's such an easy guy to work with during the game that I thought he was coming over to chest bump me to celebrate the shot. Because it's not like that for me with him. Like my experience with him has been, we haven't won every game. I haven't agreed with every call, but so that was in no way was that like me and a ref that I had been at their throat the whole game. Like other points of the game where I had my arm around them, walking out of the timeout. But, we were cracking jokes and laughing. With that situation, now the one at Marquette, when I was on my man's neck, screaming into his neck, like, yeah, I mean, that was a guy that's like coming right up to the line and losing his mind. But that was more like the emotion of the shot. And this is a cool ass ref that, I just like was.
Were you guys sharing the moment together?
No, he was just coming up to tell me, it was 0.3.
Oh,
I think there's going to be 0.3 or 0.4 on the clock is what he's saying to me. And I was still so hyped from the shot going in that I was like, like anyone would walk up on me right there. I was just, because he came over so fast and I was just like.
All right.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, what I would say is I went into this segment thinking Dan Hurley's a maniac, and that's a 10 out of 10 times. I kind of still feel the same, but now I think it falls more on the official. Like, I think Dan Hurley's less crazy if that's his boy, because he knew there was nothing behind it. I agree with you wholeheartedly that they definitely can't influence who goes to the Final Four based on something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like it was a malicious headbutt or anything. So if it was his buddy, then yeah, I think.
But like the optics of that,
crazy.
Like that's what to me. So I always look at the NFL as sort of the gold standard of protecting your brand. Like they always talk about the shield, right?
Yeah, sure.
So the ratings for this game, 19 million people watch this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the highest since 1993.
Okay.
Why do you think more people are tuning in now than ever before?
Betting.
Exactly.
Of course. Yeah.
So imagine if you had Duke money line and you're a bettor, and then you see Dan Hurley celebrating with the ref.
Yeah.
Like you don't think that people are pissed off?
Oh yeah.
That
Furious.
they like, these boys with the ref, and then I haven't even looked at the calls and who had more free throws.
That's what I would have to see.
Right, but just the appearance is awful. Like, and there's a time to celebrate. Like, you can go in the tunnel after, and if you are buddies, like I get it. Officials and coaches do have some relationships. There's some that you hate and some that you probably get along better with, and maybe see them in the offseason and maybe have a beer with them or whatever. But you cannot do that in that situation on national television.
So I've seen videos, and it kind of got a little juice when it happened, of like referees in the NFL asking players to like sign jerseys for my grandson or blah, 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 blah. I know you've played 8 years, right? 8 years you played?
Yep.
So there had to be guys that you saw week in and week out that you had a respectful, some guys maybe I would say cool relationship. You shook hands with guys before, ask them how the family is that you were kind of cool with?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like.
For sure. I had an official in the ACC when I played in college. Ron Cherry was his name.
Okay.
One of my favorites. He always very friendly. Like when we came out to do captains in the coin toss, he was like, how you doing? He would kind of joke around with me like, hey, man, make sure you got your mouthpiece in, because I never like to wear a mouthpiece. Kind of give me a hard time. He would even say, hey, that was a great throw, sometimes like that. But he called a fair game. After my senior year, he actually, after the coin toss, gave me the coin. I thought it was really cool. Just like after the game, like gave me the coin. It was like a souvenir. I thought it was really cool. He was just a classy guy. Like, so I liked him. But I also, like, we weren't high-fiving during a game.
So where is the limit? Like, what do you think is cool? Because, like, I feel like inevitably at the end of the day, these guys are men and they spend time around each other. And if you're respectful of one each other, you're going to develop a relationship. And especially, guys, if you end up coaching for a guy like Patino, who's been coaching for 100 years, he's got to know these guys well, and they got to be cool. Like, it's impossible to limit their relationships, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do it? Where do you find that? Where I came in thinking this is one thing completely, now I think something completely different.
Right. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
It's crazy to see how it unfolds.
Yeah. For sure.
It was kind of one of the wild stories that was going on in college basketball. The game was off the charts.
Yeah.
And we'll see. If Dan Hurley wins a third national championship, there's only a very small select group.
Yeah.
He'll be up there with the greatest of all time. But he's an underdog versus Illinois, and he'll be an underdog versus the winner of Michigan, Arizona. We'll have to see how that goes.
And is he one of those guys you think stays in stores for like the next 30 years? Or you think he comes out at some point and
I think he
Krzyzewski,
does.
like he never makes the jump?
Remember, was it the Lakers were trying to lure him away?
Somebody
a couple
was,
years ago. Yeah, he turned him down. Like I do think he's gonna probably be a UConn lifer. Now, who knows? If you get a third championship I'm sure the NBA teams will come knocking again. Maybe it's like, all right, what more can I accomplish here? Let me go chase an NBA title. Possibly.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, isn't like Oriema or somebody like the highest paid state employee in Connecticut or something? So like he's making NBA money, right? Coaching at UConn.
They're making great money.
Yeah.
College coaches now making 8, 9, top coaches in the game, 8, 9 million a year.
Sure.
He'll be just fine financially, without a doubt.
Got it.
All right, let's move on to your boy, Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, this is your guy, your squad.
Unbelievable.
He is ready for Geno. He has, how about this? I want you to hear this comments because he has high hopes for Geno Smith. We talked a little bit about this move last time we were together, but I haven't heard this from Aaron Glenn.
Listen, he fits exactly what we're trying to do. So obviously we've created an identity. The foundation of our offense is pretty good now. Like, I just feel like he's the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. He's the guy that's going to touch the ball more than anybody else on offense. And listen, I know he had his struggles, and I think a lot of quarterbacks, they have their struggles. If you look at over the last 5 years, the guy that's thrown the most interception. I mean, the top guys are up there.
He is going to take us to the promised land. How you feeling about that bold proclamation?
You think maybe he meant like we promise we're not going to make the playoffs and he's going to take us there? Like, what else could he really mean? Geno Smith is going to take us to the promised land. Look, I understand that as a head coach of a team, you have to do that. I understand. You have to do that.
Right.
But I think Aaron Glenn, I mean, the sooner you rip the Band-Aid off and do away with Aaron Glenn, he completely doesn't match up with the timeline of the Jets right now, right? He's in a spot where he's in a team that's 16 years and counting without the playoffs. They want the quarterback of the future. So you have to believe, we talked about this the last time, you have to believe that the front office doesn't want this season to go well and that Aaron Glenn absolutely needs this season to go well. So I just imagine it's going to be more of the same in New York. It's going to be a train wreck. Look, I really like the Geno Smith redemption arc. I think the coolest thing in the world would be if he came back for 3 or 4 years and finished strong with the Jets, got another contract, and started to mentor the next quarterback. But I never want to pick 11th again if I'm a Jets fan.
No.
So that's what I think is going to end up happening here. They go win 5-6 games because Geno Smith, for whatever reason, decides the first month of every year he's going to play out of his gourd, right?
Right.
He did that with Seattle. He did that. So, I mean, I don't know.
I was shocked by that, by the comments from Aaron Glenn, just because I do think you want realistic expectations. Like, you can say, I just think the promised land quote's the one that's going to get clipped, and it's the one we're reacting to. But if he says Geno Smith fits what we want to do, he provides us stability, he's a veteran, like all those things you can live with. But the moment you say he can take us to the promised land's a Super Bowl, right? For every NFL franchise. And like, I don't think even the craziest hardcore Jet fan is like believing that. No. So it just sets yourself up when after the season, which the Jets are not going to go to the playoffs or the Super Bowl, fans are going to be like, wait a second. You told us Geno Smith was the guy who was going to take it. What happened? What went wrong? You guys signed him.
Well, if you know about Aaron Glenn, and this is what I've always been my problem about Aaron Glenn, you know he's not an X's and O's guy. Like, he's not going to he's not going to Sean McVay you, right? Where he chest moves you to death, right? His thing is motivation, get the team going. Like, that's his thing. So he sort of has to do this, and I do get that, but yeah, man, I mean, come on. We got, like you said, we got to be realistic. Like, I think the Jets win 6 games. It's a win this year, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Jets aren't going to win. They're not supposed to win 6 games, but then they just find themselves in no man's land.
Right. Like, you're better off tanking without saying you're tanking, but we've talked about that. Like, it's impossible to tank. Players on that roster fighting for jobs, fighting for salaries.
And the coach, he has another 2-win year. He's out. And there's no way you could justify bringing him back. So he has to win.
What is the number for Aaron Glenn?
Before they let him go mid-season?
Yeah, like what if he's is 5 wins enough
to keep him?
Yeah.
I always thought it was like progress and stuff, but I really don't know at this point because how many years can you rebuild? 16 years and counting. That means you could be a college senior right now and you could go through your entire academic career without seeing the Jets in the playoffs. Think about how crazy that is.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the number is. I don't know what the benchmark is. I also don't even know I don't know what Woody Johnson's mindset is because for the longest time he was that guy who was overly loyal and he would hold on to guys too long. And then he fired Robert Saleh in the middle of the year, and it wound up being something that I think in hindsight we think is a mistake. Right. So now I wouldn't be shocked at all if he completely swung the other way and held on to Aaron Glenn a little too long. And that's always something you worry about when you – what do you think about that? I've seen it a lot in New York where people are like, right now they're not happy with Aaron Boone, right? Well, now, I mean, with 3 games, and let's just say the last couple of years, hire Derek Jeter. And then you see things like hire Patrick Ewing for the Knicks. What do you think about hiring like a team legend? Because other than like Revis – he's one of the most decorated, like, defensive backs the Jets have ever had.
Who is the last great coach that was a legendary player. We've had some coaches like Mike Vrabel's a former player.
Yeah.
And he was a good player,
Yeah.
but he wasn't a legend. Like a player that's just been an MVP type player. All the time, like in Michael Jordan, Larry Bird was a coach. Didn't work out great.
Yeah.
Like it just sometimes it doesn't translate.
Isaiah
Michael
Thomas,
Jordan was
right?
not a great, wasn't a great coach.
No.
Michael Jordan was not a great owner. He was not a great, manager of talent.
Do you know what my thought process is on that? I always think that guys like that who are just so gifted, they almost fall into that trap. Like they can't grasp why you're not gifted like they are.
1,000%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like for someone like me who's an overachiever, because look, I'm not 6'4", and
Right.
they don't understand. Randy Moss might not understand why I can't go jump 48 and just grab that ball. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I think tends to be the issue with
I
that.
totally agree. I think it really is. And I think the frustration gets to him. And I think players feel that frustration.
Right.
And it's not a great relationship. It just doesn't work real well with players when you're constantly like, why do you guys suck? Like, what? Just get better. Be like me.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Oddly enough, I think the NHL might have a couple. Like, I think out of all the leagues, the NHL, I think Rod Brindamore's been a pretty good coach. Like, he won a Stanley Cup. I think he's like a Hall of Fame type player, but it really doesn't happen a lot. And I think for the reasons we said,
Yeah.
I
also think, too, when you're that successful as a player, you've probably made a ton of money.
Yeah,
And so you're a little comfortable.
it's true.
And the guys that were players, like a Mike Vrabel, probably had to work really hard, had to bust his butt, and then carries that over into coaching.
Right.
And I think they absolutely, because you got to be a grinder to be a coach.
Sure.
I think sometimes those players who were great, it comes easy to them. So they think coaching's going to come easy, so they don't grind as much as a coach.
So let me get your thoughts on this now, because we talked about how Michael Jordan was such a terrible owner and a terrible GM and blah, blah, blah. Michael Jordan is winning like Michael Jordan in NASCAR right now. Do you think it has something to do with him kind of stepping back? Like, this isn't my field.
Right.
I'm going to let them work a little bit. Is that what you think?
I think so. I think it's got to be. I mean, he's having a historical run.
Every week they
Right.
win.
I mean, he's got more wins in the first
it's so
6
cool to
weeks
see,
or whatever
actually.
it is than anybody in the history of NASCAR. Like, it is off the charts. He's super into it.
Yeah.
But I do think he's a financial backer who's a supporter, kind of hands off, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I think that's where you can come in and maybe, your presence probably inspires those people. But it's not hands-on. This is the way you should handle this engine, or this is the way you should round these corners. It's more of an inspiration, just the fact that he's involved, and you kind of just get that greatness kind of oozes off of him and it rubs off on everybody. That doesn't necessarily work in basketball or football. Like, as a hands-on coach, I think it's totally different.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking those NASCAR guys are the luckiest guys ever, because they get all the good from Michael Jordan, the champion. Like, he's going to come in pre-race and have that speech that's going to get you running through the wall. But he's not going to beat you up about it if you make a mistake, because he doesn't know. Like, he knows every intricacy of the triangle offense. So if you mess something up, he's going to rip your face off. He doesn't know that you took turn 3 too high and he can come in there. And so that's a pretty cool thing that they have. Those guys seem ecstatic every time he jumps the wall. I saw him at like 60-something jump the wall yesterday and go hug his team.
Yeah.
That's got to be an awesome feeling, man.
Oh, it's so cool. It's incredible to see what he's doing.
Yeah.
All right, really cool story out of the Big 12, the conference out there, Power 4 conference. They put out a statement the other day that they are exploring launching women's flag football as a varsity sport. They want a minimum of 6 schools to partake in the program. We've already seen Nebraska in the Big 10 fully announced. They're going to have it. And the minute I saw Nebraska do it as a Big 10 school, I said, wait for it. It's coming.
Yeah.
Because Nebraska's not going to start a program without knowing they're going to have competition to play against.
For sure.
And while it doesn't mean the whole Big 10 has to add teams, they do need some other Power 4 level teams. So I bet Nebraska had a hunch this was coming. This is incredible.
Yeah.
The investment that we're seeing from the NFL, the Big 12 even talked about having a relationship with the NFL and how the NFL has been such a big supporter of flag football. That's a big reason we're seeing it in the Olympics.
Totally.
It's exploding. My 13-year-old is playing football all the time. She wants to play catch every single day. She brings her football to school every day, kind of like Move It program. Remember they made him I told her about this. I need to show her the scene, because I need to talk to her friends, tell them to knock it away, make sure she has ball security.
Yes, sir.
But she loves playing catch with her friends. She's been getting more with the boys. I've been trying to challenge her to go play with the boys, so she's been doing that. This is awesome news. It's going to provide a lot of opportunity to get scholarships for flag football.
Totally. And I think what a lot of people need to understand is the growth of flag and why it's happening, right? And I think the NFL has made like a real concerted effort to sort of help flag. You think about where parents have been over the last decade, and see, you're there now. You don't have boys, so I don't know that you're able to you've been through this part. But the theory is, over the last decade or so, a lot of parents have been terrified that they're going to be the reason that their kid is at risk of a brain injury, right? Because we've seen it for the longest time. What this does is it provides a safe alternative for players. Because if you're familiar with what was happening in youth football, numbers were going down significantly. And the NFL at that point said, before we start losing our best athletes to lacrosse or soccer, we have to find a way not to combat flag football, but to take in and embrace flag football. And that's when they started to really throw some money and throw some effort and energy behind it. You see they bring their best players out to flag football things now to kind of help. And I think that's the reason why, right? They saw a world where the football numbers were going down, and they thought that flag football is a great way to provide a safe alternative, let your athletes kind of develop physically till 9th or 10th grade, but you can still start to build that love and start to teach them concepts and route combinations and how to break down defenses. So all the beautiful things about football without the risk of a brain injury, and I think that's why the NFL has made such a concerted effort to jump in and support it, and I love it. I think it's great.
I do too. I think it's awesome to see that. As part of flag football, this is what we didn't get to talk about. This is a couple weekends ago. Team USA flag football playing the Founders, which was a stacked team of current and former NFL players and some celebrities, got absolutely smoked. Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh were the head coaches. They were flummoxed. This picture goes viral because Jim Harbaugh is looking at the scoreboard saying, how the heck are we getting smoked by these dudes who we've never heard of, and we can't even we can't get a stop. They had like 10 straight scores in a row, could not get a single stop. I know you've been pretty involved with flag football, and you warned us of this. You were like, it is a different game. These NFL players think they're just going to step into flag football and dominate. You were 1,000% right.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of the physical traits that you have to possess to be a solid NFL player, these guys obviously have over the flag football players, but it's little things like playing on a smaller field so the timing is different, right? It's about not being able to make contact in space. So under normal circumstances, when me and Luke Kuechly are in the open field, he's just putting his arms around me and dragging me to the floor. Right now, he has to sit and wait, and that's tough for a guy like that. You feel uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Things like pulling flags are very different, and the things that you don't learn until you do this a long time. And I think where we weren't sure, like, who are we going to send to the Olympics? And 6 months ago, you heard the best player in the world's name is Darryl Doucette. His nickname is Hoosh. He's the quarterback. And he made a statement that went super viral. And what he said was, I believe, there he is, there's Hoosh. And he said, I believe I am the best flag football quarterback in the world. Better than Patrick Mahomes. And people just heard that on its face and said, this guy's crazy. He's 145 pounds. He's 36 years old, blah, blah. And Darryl Doucette shut everybody up this weekend because he does things on a flag football field that these guys clearly weren't able to. Now, let's be real. There are players that probably are more tailor-made for flag football that the NFL didn't bring out.
Right.
Because I'd much rather see how Lamar Jackson performs on a flag football than maybe a Brady or a Burrow.
Right.
But
a Tyreek Hill.
Right. Oh, of course. So they didn't bring their best roster, but look, it was so one-sided. I don't think it really matters that anyway. There's things like dips and hip flips and things that you don't get good at until you practice them, right? And then you've been throwing the I don't know, what do you guys throw? The 15-yard out? What's a big throw for you?
Yeah.
That's not even a thing. And timing like that isn't even a thing on a flag football field. So where you utilize these things to your advantage in a real football game, they're taken away from you here. So it evens the playing field. It's tough, man.
You know what was kind of wild to see was they were running the 2-quarterback system.
Yeah.
So they had both quarterbacks on the field. Nico Casares.
Stud.
He was like 12 of 12.
Yeah.
Like for 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think the Founders team had any idea what they were like. Yeah. All of a sudden, they're like, wait, they can do 2 quarterbacks? What are they doing? Like, they were so caught off guard. The other thing that I thought was really bad, and this is pretty embarrassing.
This is the one I want to
the running styles.
This is Velton Brown.
Yeah.
Velton Brown is cold in open field. Look at
this. That's the hip. Yeah, that's the low
drop.
hips.
They call it the drop. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, like, Velton Brown has that twitchy quickness that the NFL players has. He's just lighter. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys,
he knows these moves. Like he's been doing. Like you don't ever see those moves in the NFL because they'll just tackle you. Like they don't work. But when you're diving and trying to grab flags, it's a whole different story. Like when they're trying 100%. To make those. Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Look at that. Look at that hip drop. That is crazy. Yeah. And those guys are like, wait, what's happening?
Grabbing a flag itself is hard enough.
Yeah.
And if you do that when a guy who's quick and Like his 10 or his like short shuttle, I bet you is right there with some of these guys. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So to be able to change levels like that and reach for a flag that's moving, it's just impossibly hard if you don't do it all the time. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to see guys that I've been fortunate enough to play with out there do well. And I'm gonna be honest, we didn't put up any clips of the girls. Some of the girls are cold too.
Yeah.
Like they take girls who have succeeded at like point guard on the Division 1 level.
Right.
And they move them over to be your receivers. And they're making like one hit. That's Amir Brown. That's Amir Brown. He's nasty.
You know,
nasty.
Jalen Hurts was probably paid a lot of money. Tom Brady was probably paid a lot of money.
Right.
Tom Brady's legacy will be fine. But if there's Eagles fans that see Jalen Hurts throw 2 pick sixes and he's coming off the year that he did, that's probably pretty embarrassing for Jalen Hurts and puts a little bit more pressure. Now, he's probably hopefully nobody watched. It was on during the NCAA tournament, the basketball, so it kind of flew under the radar. But that was a rough.
It was a whooping, man. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've seen that guy. They call him Newski. That's Amir Brown. I mean, you watch these guys on a week in and week out basis, and these guys are surgical with it, man. They're fast and they're quick and they're phenomenal athletes. And they went out there. You know what it is, too? They went out there. That was the Super Bowl for them, man.
Yeah,
They've been
no
playing
doubt.
it forever. These guys have been playing on Team USA for many years, hoping we can get this into the Olympics. And you know how pissed off they were when they found out, wait a minute, you're going to send NFL guys?
Yep.
We've been building the foundation here to get this where it's supposed to be. And just because you see these guys on TV, you're going to put them in. Well, now who do you feel better going to represent you, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
Last thing.
Yep.
Guys out there like, I just want to talk about Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Out there trying to get himself a contract. So he was out there trying to do things. Like,
Right.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
Yeah.
he went out there, and I heard, like, a team
He had a
called
catch.
afterwards.
He did the catch. You know, he had one.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That catch was
he's
crazy.
wearing gloves, though.
That's a fair point.
I think the gloves
I can't make
a
it, but
huge
fair
difference.
point. Yeah.
I think with gloves
Huge difference.
could.
Yeah. And his hands are, like, freaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, let's get into this ABS story because
Yes.
you and I have had our disagreements about the automated balls and strike system that MLB is using this year, implemented for the first time. Now that we've seen it in play, what are your thoughts? You happy with it?
You know, it's good to be right. I love now, through 1 week, man. I absolutely love it. I love it because it's quick. It's been concise. Like it's just like the tennis one. Like if it starts taking 2-3 minutes for you to reverse these or to uphold them, then it starts to become a problem for me. I like it, man. They tap it quick. They know in a matter of seconds. I think the technology's real cool.
Yeah.
Right. And look, it doesn't hurt that I happen to support the Yankees, who are probably like the most patient team of veteran hitters.
Right.
So like they're like something like 7 for 8 or 8 for 9 through 3 games. But I can imagine how you'd be pissed if this was your team getting, cooked on it. What I would say, and I got to be honest, man, I get life from watching guys like this clip here. I sent it to Malik. I get life from watching guys like C.B. Buckner, who's a home plate umpire who's been ruining games for like 20 years, sort of get called to the carpet now in front of 40,000. And in real time, you get to see him. How many times have we said, man, what a terrible call by that ump or that ref. Why don't we get to put them in front of the microphone at the end of the game? They could,
Right.
Well, right now, guys, you get your wish because let's talk about this one right here. Malik, if you can let that run. So this is back-to-back overturned calls from C.B. Buckner.
This was brutal.
Brutal. And it wasn't his worst call yet.
Right.
So there, strike. Nope.
Yep.
Tap it.
Pretty quick. Comes back.
That's Eugenio Suarez.
I don't think that was an egregious
No,
call.
it wasn't. But
See, that's where I'm like, man, if you're a pitcher,
Okay.
this makes life really hard on pitchers.
so can we show the second one? And can we hear, guys? Are we
Because
able
that
to
one
hear
like
the crowd?
paints the corner, like when you, like you're right there, like
See, do you see the crowd going crazy?
Oh,
right
yeah,
there?
they're
'Cause
loving
that's
it.
2 in a row, back-to-back pitches.
Yep.
Now, here's where the problem is, and this is where I'd like to get your thought. So in the Yankee game, and Malik, that's good. Thank you, brother. So in the Yankee game, it's happened twice in the first 3 games. So one game, their center fielder is up. His name is Trent Grisham. Patient hitter. He gets punched out. He taps. He wins his appeal, and then he walks on the next pitch, and he scores the run that ends up winning the game. And then the next game, Aaron Judge. They punch him. He disputes it. He wins, and he hits a home run. So I see stuff like that are directly impacting the ends of games, and I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
CB Buckner is he's the new Angel Hernandez.
That's the.
I mean,
old-
did you see the play that he called the other night when the runner, like he said, the runner didn't touch first,
But
and it was like it was
it's-
right in front of you? Both managers were laughing. They were like, "This is the worst call we've ever
Is
seen."
anybody more unhappy than CB Buckner?
No,
This is happening?
he might
Oh
not
my
survive
gosh.
this year
No.
if it keeps getting as bad as it is. I think it's a small body of work. I want to see it unfold a little bit longer.
But through a week, what do you think?
That pitch to me as a former pitcher is one where you get that call over the course of history, and you're like, you painted the corner, your catcher framed it up just right there. Man, I think this is going to be. I think pitchers are going to hate this.
But pitchers can challenge as well.
Right, that is true. They can, but I guarantee you it favors the batters because I think over the course of history, pitchers have figured out where the umpire's sweet spot is. And sometimes that's off the plate, sometimes it's inside the plate, sometimes high, sometimes it's low. And they've been able to figure that out and then exploit it. And that exploitation, I think, is done.
Let me ask you this then, as a former pitcher. Would you be a little hesitant to start calling out the ump like that? Like, if I know I got to throw 110 pitches or 100 pitches, how many times do I really want to challenge, right? What would you think as a pitcher? Are you going to be like, okay, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
Well, you better make sure. Right. You better make sure because then you're going to really tick them off.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Take some of that out of it. All right. What are we going to do here? Let's open some cards. I want to rip some cards. Let's rip some cards because you got some good ones. I want you to explain to our listeners what exactly these are because these sound really cool.
So, guys, as you know, we've sort of making it our plight. It's something we love. I've loved it for the longest time. I'm glad.
I'm a newbie.
I'm glad to have infected Danny Cannell's life and cost him a lot of money over the last couple of months with our love of sports cards. It's a growing hobby. Guys, stay locked in with VT Sports because we were able to do something really cool with sports cards and the great Stephen A. Smith. So I have something cool coming at you with that. Guys, what we've ripped the first couple of weeks, Danny, is what we call wax.
Right.
And wax is a term that you get for like a box that you may get from the store. We don't know what's in it. It could be whatever. These are called repacks, and these go through special card companies. They put them in auctions, and you can win these by like bidding on them. I was able to get my hands on two. These are called pearls. These are from our friends at Bleacher Breaks in Boca Raton.
These guys are awesome.
Check these guys out. I mean, they got some great products. And some of these are some of like not the highest end products. You could rip a case hit out of something like a different higher level box that may give you $2,500, $3,000. Absolutely crazy stuff. So we got a repack for myself. We got a repack for Danny. This is going to be a slabbed card. It could be graded. It could be an autograph. It's going to be awesome.
Sweet.
There's a special trick to it. I'm going to get the first one. I'm going to let you get the second one.
Okay.
So basically what you want to do is you want to get both sides. Make sure you get the... Make sure you cut where the stickers are.
Yep.
And then we're just going to rip them. So if you don't have fingernails, it sucks a little bit. And then what you got to do is don't open it right away because you don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
So we'll be here. I will let you look at this one with me.
Okay.
So there we go. There'll be a paper in front of it. So we're going to go under here. We're going to make sure we don't spoil it.
Okay.
All right. So I feel like I got something good. So
we're
going to go slow. And what we have. All right. It's sideways. So let's see what we got here.
Ooh.
So we got sensational signatures. We got a Paolo Banchero.
Whoa!
Sensational signatures, Paolo Banchero. That's sick. That's a prism right there. Yeah, it's going to be a nice one. So Paolo Banchero, the Orlando Magic, #1 overall pick out of Duke a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paolo Banchero. That's going to be a sensational rookie. That's a rookie auto, Paolo Banchero.
How cool is that?
Nasty.
That's awesome. So it's just one card. I thought maybe there were three. It's just one.
Nah, it's one. It's one. So generally how this goes is you bid on spots. And if the spot comes out that coincides with your city, like this one would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Orlando Magic. So any one of those come out. No, you could rip that part. You just want to cut where the logo, where the stickers are.
Did I cut that? No. I got to use more of that.
That's all you care about, the sides. And you can rip the rest of it.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, let's do it, Dan.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Now, what was the trick again to make sure we get the drama?
You're going to have a piece of paper over the card. Don't just open the box right away because then you're going to just spoil it.
So like this.
You'll be able to flip this first one open and there'll be a piece of paper under there. Just kind of slowly.
Yeah, you got to build up the drama.
Yeah, unveil that baby
build
slowly.
up the drama. All right, so we're keeping that. We're keeping that.
Yep.
The ultimate sweat. Here we go.
So they want you to sweat it. That's why they call it that.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're sweating it.
All right, so.
Slowly but surely. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, it might be upside down. Oh, no, it's good. Ooh, here we go.
Oh, is that Matas?
Yeah.
Matas Buzelis?
There we go.
Nice. Good young player.
Signed.
Is it numbered or no?
No.
All right, so rookie auto. Okay,
yeah,
that's no problem.
Great. That's awesome.
Cool. Awesome,
Very
guys.
Cool.
So this is like, as we continue to introduce you guys to what we're doing, these are called repacks. We'll try to get our hands on a couple more of these. These usually, you're going to get something cool. They usually have floors and ceilings, so that dictates how we bid on them. And these ones are awesome, guys. So we'll try to keep coming with the cards. Check in with us. Let us know if you like it or not. We love it.
Love it. I got to get one of those.
Yeah.
I'm going to
We'll
bump
get-
up to the next one, though.
The rubies.
Yeah, I'm going to get some rubies.
So what we want to do is, guys, I'll tell you what, start liking, sharing, and subscribing to the show. We can start getting some titaniums. We're talking Mickey Mantles. We're talking Shohei Ohtani's, Michael Jordan. So
now we're talking.
Let's go now. We got to grow this baby.
There we go. All right, let's do some reaction to finish this thing out. What do the guys got for us? Oh, this was pretty good.
This was
now, do you know who this
crazy.
is? Do you know who this is?
That
the
guy-
reporter?
Yes, I do.
Abby Hornacek is Jeff Hornacek's daughter. Yeah. This is pretty crazy. Watch this takedown. Oh!
Kennedy here has been nice enough to offer. We might have forced her into this, but she is going to show me her signature move. It's called a suplex. I'm so nervous. All right. Also, Kennedy is 5'11".
Yeah.
I'm 5'11", so let's try this.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
How does this work? Okay.
So
What do
you're
I do?
gonna tie up on me.
I'm so nervous.
Okay, it's okay. Just breathe. All right, here we go.
Watch the neck. Watch the neck. I mean,
that
it was close. I thought she broke her neck.
Well, that is inches from disaster.
Right.
100%.
And like you heard her laughing right away, and thankfully she wasn't hurt. And I guess that shows you wrestlers know what they're doing.
I
but
also,
my
if you
goodness.
pull that back, look at her left arm behind her back. Like
Yeah,
when
that
at
could
the
have been
very
broken.
end of the clip. Look at
Yeah.
the end of the clip. Malik, just get to the very end, like the very last frame of it.
Uh-oh.
She's got her arm behind her back, and I
Right,
don't
like
know if
catching
I think
herself?
she's no. When they still
Oh.
at the very end when they're talking their way out,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
almost was like, yeah, she got her hand behind
That
her
went
back. Maybe
viral.
She's not great.
She was out there. Yeah, that was not good. Oh my goodness.
Nah,
That
we
was
can't get it.
close.
We can't get it. That's cool.
Yeah, she almost
Right?
did look like that. That was bad. All right, let's see the next one. What do we got next? All right, ball -2. What do we got?
I think I saw this.
Oh, this. You know who this is? Oh, I thought this was different.
Oh, no, didn't see that.
Ooh,
Oh, that
that's a
sucks.
vasectomy right there.
Oh, that sucks.
That is so brutal.
That's called crossing
That-
up your catcher.
That
boy.
is called a
Holy
cup
cow.
check
Oh,
right there.
that
You
is
better
brutal.
have some protection. But even if you
Well,
do,
I was just
it
gonna
ain't
say-
going to help much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a cup does nothing but makes them vibrate.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible.
That's right.
It's terrible.
What do we got here?
You know what I thought that was?
Oh,
Hail Mary. Hail Mary.
Your father.
An actual Hail Mary.
Oh, that was a pretty sweet route. That's great. I love that.
A little stutter and go for
that was
father.
pretty sweet. All right, this is great. I don't know if you've seen
Dawn
this.
Staley?
This is Kara Lawson.
Oh, Kara
this
Lawson,
is Dawn
excuse me.
Staley. You're right. This is
Oh,
Dawn
is this
Staley.
Dawn Staley?
I love this. I love these type of inspirational quotes. Here's Dawn Staley.
You allow your children to grow up,
Amen.
it is a direct reflection of your parenting. Direct. Like if you hover over them all the time and they can't work through problems, they're going to have some issues, you know? But you got to let them work through problems because they're working through the things that you've instilled in them. And that's
Amen, Dawn Staley. Please, parents, listen up. Don't take every obstacle out of your kids' way. Let them face adversity from an early age so they can learn how to handle it. Dawn Staley loves to get players who have been through that adversity. And she's talked about how she's got to work through some players that haven't.
Yeah.
You want your players, you want your kids to have, no one wants to see your kids struggle,
Uh-huh.
but it is part of life to learn how to get through struggles. And if you
Absolutely.
always protect them, it's just delaying the inevitable.
There was one clip I wanted to get from the women's Final Four that I'm sure you saw, and I would have loved to get your thoughts on it. Malik, is there a way we can get on X real quick and pull, if you can't, you can't, the Maryland women's coach on the sideline? She got right up in her player's grill, but she was giving her like the best speech from the outside. She was getting crushed. There it is on the right side, 117.
Yeah, this is awesome.
If you can read her lips, like they killed her right away until you really did a lip read on what she was
Right.
saying. That's like, dude, coach my daughter.
Yeah.
If I have a daughter, I want to coach like this.
John Boy did the lip reading, and
Yeah.
she's saying, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Here's her player talking
Coach
about it.
understands I'm a competitor at heart, and I've told her this before, and I'll keep on telling her this until forever. I love to be coached hard, and that's what she does with me.
I need you locked
every
in, she
single
said.
day.
I need you
And
locked in.
Really
I believe
what
in
that
you.
was
Yep.
was a regroup moment for myself.
So
and
from the outside, it
her
looks
time.
like she's flaming her.
Right.
But basically, when they broke it down afterwards, she's saying, I need you.
Yep.
I believe in you. And
Yep.
it's like, what a great thing. Like, you can yell at my kid any day if that's what you're yelling at.
There were a lot of people that saw that and thought she was just chewing her
Totally.
out, just
Totally.
yelling at her. And unfortunately, I think a lot of youth coaching, they see coaches chewing players out, so they just chew players out because they want to do the same thing.
Right.
And what happens is there's never a message. There's never any coaching. It's just yelling to yell, and you berate children.
Absolutely.
That's not what that was. She was building her up. She was doing it animated, and she was right in her face. But the player said, I love that. And I would have loved a coach that would do, like, are you kidding me? Telling me that way how much you believe in me and how much you need me to step up? That's awesome.
And you can tell from that's not the first. That's a foundation. They have a
Yes.
foundational relationship, that's built through trust and love. Because you don't just coach somebody like that unless you care for them.
No. This is, if you want to wonder why Dan Hurley's a little nuts, this is pretty good. Watch his mom's reaction after the shot, and you can read her lips.
Get the sensors out.
Yeah. Holy bleeping bleep. She's just in disbelief. What the bleep is happening? That was unreal. His dad's right there. What a couple of proud parents. But you can see like the emotions on her. She looks pretty emotional. Dan Hurley's wife was behind the bench. She was yelling at all the coaches, stay off the court. Like she was coaching herself, making sure they didn't get any technical fouls. That was really cool.
Very
great
cool
stuff. Great finds from you guys there. It was a fun show, man. It's good to be back in the saddle.
Definitely.
It's been awesome. Make sure you go like, subscribe, leave us some comments on there, some feedback. We love hearing from you guys. We'll get back to you on there. At Danny Cannell on socials.
At Man O' Steel on IG and Man O' Steel 17 on X. Say what's up, guys. We'll talk about what we talk about on here for sure.
Love it. See you guys next week.